What pops into your head when you think of Christmas? Maybe a decorated tree, carols in the background, a big roast dinner, and a pile of presents under twinkling lights. Now zoom out a bit and picture people celebrating the same holiday with fire-jumping devils, midnight saunas, fast food chicken, or a horse skull knocking at the door. Around the world, December is filled with traditions that might look completely strange to you, yet feel as normal and nostalgic as your own to the people who keep them alive. Today, you'll learn how different countries kick off the festive season in public squares and streets, how they add their quirks and eccentric habits to the holiday, which saints and strange creatures bring the gifts, and what ends up on the table in the form of feasts, sweets, and drinks. Let's begin with the public rituals that announce Christmas has officially arrived. Across the world, Christmas really starts when people leave their homes and step into the shared rituals that fill streets and squares. These events replay familiar stories, mark key dates in the calendar, and tie faith to local history through things like processions, bonfires, markets, and public announcements. In Mexico, the nightly celebrations of Las Posadas turn the story of Mary and Joseph's search for shelter into a neighborhood routine. Each evening, a small procession moves from house to house with people in costume, children carrying candles, and musicians playing traditional songs. Most doors stay closed until the group reaches the chosen home for that night. Then everyone is welcomed in for prayers, followed by tamales, sweetbread, and a piñata. Because this happens over 9 nights, it slowly builds anticipation and keeps the story in people's minds well before Christmas Day. Later in the season, Epiphany on January 6th keeps the holiday going in Spain and much of Latin America. The focus shifts to the 3 wise men, who appear in parades and bring gifts that many children anticipate even more than those on December 25th. Kids write letters, leave out their shoes, and often wake up to small surprises tucked inside. Bakeries sell special cakes with a hidden token, and the person who finds it is treated as honorary royalty for the day. Together, Las Posadas and Epiphany stretch the Christmas story over several weeks, with each celebration highlighting a different moment. Other ceremonies are less about specific Bible scenes and more about setting the seasonal mood. German Christmas markets turn town squares into meeting places with wooden stalls, nativity scenes, hot spiced wine, and toys that draw people out on cold evenings. In Sweden, white-clad St. Lucia processions bring light into some of the darkest days of the year, while in Guatemala, the burning of the devil uses dramatic bonfires to clear away bad influences before major feast days. Finland's declaration of Christmas peace adds an official touch as authorities publicly call for calm and good behavior. Taken together, these rituals show how communities let everyone know that the festive season has truly begun, paving the way for the stranger local habits you'll hear about in the next section. When you move away from formal services and big public events, Christmas starts to blend into everyday life. The season seeps into hobbies, local challenges, and bits of folklore that outsiders might not even recognize as part of the holiday. It shows up in what people buy, where they gather, and how they like to test themselves or entertain each other when the year draws to a close. In Iceland, the classic present is not a gadget, but a stack of new books. The season really starts when a national catalog of new titles lands in every mailbox, prompting a wave of orders for Christmas Eve. Families may choose a volume for each person or lay out a communal pile and let everyone pick. The result is a yearly book flood that keeps a tiny language vibrant, supports a remarkably large publishing scene, and turns a winter night into a celebration of stories. Farther south and west, Christmas becomes a test of stamina. On the Irish coast, thousands in Santa hats sprint into icy seas on Christmas morning, often for charity while rescue crews keep watch. In Finland, the same season sends people into intense heat rather than cold. Households scrub their saunas, then spend part of Christmas Eve steaming, whisking one another with birch branches, and later carrying candles to graveyards where small lights glow against the snow. Elsewhere, the holiday leans into theatricality and the bizarre. In Brazil's northeast, communities stage Bumba Mo Boi, a lively play about the death and resurrection of a bull, with a pregnant trickster, dancing costumed animals, and mockery of local elites. In Welsh villages, a party escorts a decorated horse skull from door to door, trading rhymed insults with homeowners before being let in for food, drink, and a bit of a fright. These scenes stretch the idea of what counts as Christmas and show how far communities bend the season to fit their own humor and history. In the next section, you'll meet the saints, spirits, and gift givers who hand out rewards at this busy time of year. If you grow up with Santa Claus, it can be surprising to learn how many other figures are in charge of Christmas presents elsewhere. Around the world, the job of gift giving is shared among bishops, babies, giants, witches, and even a frost spirit, each shaped by local history and belief. When you put them side by side, the same basic idea, rewarding good behavior at the darkest time of year, shows up in wildly different faces. A good place to start is with the historical Saint Nicholas, a 4th century bishop from Myra in today's Turkey, known for generosity and honored with his own feast on December 6th. Over time, parents left secret gifts for their children in his name, often tucked into shoes, and that habit spread across Europe. In the Netherlands and Belgium, he remains Sinterklaas, still dressed as a bishop in red robes, arriving by boat and horseback in early December and treated as the main gift giver of the season. Elsewhere in Europe, he splinters into relatives like Father Christmas in England or Père Noël in France, who look very Santa-like, yet keep touches such as hooded robes or filling shoes instead of stockings. Other regions created alternatives during religious reforms or changing political times. In parts of Germany and Switzerland, presents are brought by the Christkindl, a figure that started as the Christ child and evolved into a glittering angel played by a girl who appears at markets and home visits. In Russia and other Slavic countries, Ded Moroz, or Grandfather Frost, arrives from the woods with his granddaughter Snegoroshka, the snow maiden. In the 20th century, their work shifted mainly to New Year's Eve, but they still feel closely tied to winter and fairy tales. Some of the most charming gift givers barely resemble Western Santa at all. The Basque country celebrates Olencero, a rustic giant from mountain folklore who now spends his eternal life handing out toys, while Italy welcomes La Befana, a house-proud old woman on a broomstick who roams on Epiphany, still trying to find the Christ child and leaving treats or coal along the way. Taken together, these characters show how each culture picks a different face to represent generosity and moral lessons at Christmas. In the next section, you'll meet the wilder figures who focus less on giving and more on scaring, scolding, and causing trouble. Many Christmas traditions lean on warmth and kindness, yet a surprising number rely on fear and noise to keep people in line. Across Europe and beyond, devils and troublemakers appear in December, shadowing the friendly gift givers and reminding everyone that bad behavior has consequences. They add tension to the season, turning moral lessons about kindness and obedience into something visible in the streets. The best-known figure in this darker lineup is Krampus from Austria and Bavaria, a horned creature with hooves, a long tongue, and a bundle of birch switches for misbehaving children. He trails behind St. Nicholas on his rounds, while adults in heavy fur costumes march through towns for Krampus night parades. Attempts by church leaders and later governments to suppress him never fully worked, and his popularity has surged again with elaborate masks and organized events. Farther north in Iceland, a whole family of winter beings takes the role of enforcer. 13 Yule lads descend from the mountains one by one in the days before Christmas, each with a specialty prank that ranges from stealing food to peering through windows. Their mother, the ogress Grilla, looms over the stories, said to kidnap disobedient children for her cooking pot, helped by a huge black Yule cat that targets kids who have failed to receive new clothes for the holiday. These legends reflect a harsh landscape where winter could be deadly and give parents an extra tool for keeping order indoors. On the other side of the world, Liberian communities welcome dancing devils, masked performers who whirl through the streets during the season, backed by drummers and a narrator figure often called Old Man Beggar. They can be playful or intimidating, demanding small gifts and mixing jokes about local politics with high-energy moves. Together, these figures show how Christmas can channel fear and chaos into stories that sharpen social rules and make the festive period more memorable. In the next section, you'll leave the monsters behind and look at how Christmas tastes in savory dishes and main courses around the world. To see how deeply Christmas is rooted in local culture, it helps to look at what ends up on the table. Along with filling people up, main dishes carry memories, religious rules, and family stories. Around the world, the proper Christmas meal can mean a meatless spread, a whole animal roasting since dawn, or a fast food bucket ordered weeks in advance. In parts of Eastern and Central Europe, Christmas Eve centers on a 12-dish supper with no meat. Families in Poland, Lithuania, Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia sit down only after the first star appears, then work through soups, fish, grains, and vegetable dishes like beet soup, sweetened wheat, and herring or carp. The 12 dishes point to the apostles or the months of the year, and many homes still set an extra place for a guest or departed relative, sometimes with straw under the cloth as a quiet reminder of the manger. In Spanish-speaking countries in the Philippines, Christmas Eve or Noche Buena is often built around lechon, a whole roasted pig. The details vary from Cuban roasting boxes to seasoned pork in Puerto Rico to different roasting methods in Manila and Cebu, but in every case, the slow cooking draws neighbors and relatives together long before anyone eats. Venezuelan families add halakas, cornmeal parcels filled with meats, olives, raisins, and capers wrapped in plantain leaves. An entire weekend can go into spreading dough, spooning stew, and tying bundles, turning preparation into a major social event that reflects Spanish, African, and Caribbean influences. Elsewhere, seafood or beloved staples take center stage. Southern Italian households focus on eel and other fish dishes at a long Christmas Eve supper, while West African families gather around bright red jollof rice cooked in huge pots and endlessly debated in terms of whose version is best. In Japan, many households now mark the day with pre-ordered Kentucky Fried Chicken, a tradition launched by a 1970s advertising campaign and still associated with special Christmas chicken sets. Taken together, these dishes show how Christmas feasts express religion, history, and family life in a single meal. Now in the final section, you'll see how those same forces appear again in the sweets and festive drinks that carry the season through its final days. Christmas becomes an everyday presence when you look at the sweets and drinks that appear again and again through December. Cookies, cakes, candies, and warm cups quietly mark office parties, family visits, and late-night wrapping sessions, turning small bites and sips into familiar rituals. These treats carry wishes for luck and peace, keep memories alive, and often extend the season well past the main meal. In Spain and many Spanish-speaking countries, the Roscón de Reyes, a ring-shaped sweetbread, appears around January 6th to mark Epiphany. A small figure or charm is hidden inside, and whoever finds it is linked to good fortune and later religious observances, like bringing the figurine to church. Related cakes in France and other parts of Europe use beans or tokens to crown a king or queen for the day, so a simple dessert becomes an excuse for playful power shifts and talk about the year ahead. Elsewhere, a wafer or a piece of fruit can carry as much meaning as a loaded dessert plate. In Polish homes, a thin oplatic wafer is shared before the Christmas Eve meal. Each person breaks and exchanges pieces while offering good wishes, and sending wafers by mail helps scattered relatives stay part of the same moment. In parts of China, decorated apples are traded as gifts because the word for apple sounds like the phrase for a peaceful night, turning a modest present into a promise of calm and safety. Other traditions focus on abundance and sharing. In Indian Christian communities, families prepare kuswar, a spread of homemade sweets that can include fried curls of dough glazed in sugar. Nigerian chin chin fills bowls with crunchy cubes of spiced dough that guests and children graze on throughout the holiday. In the cold of a European December, mugs of mulled wine simmered with spices and citrus warm both hands and conversation. Taken together, these desserts and drinks round out the picture of Christmas as a season built from public rituals, quirky customs, and memorable characters, with small repeated tastes that quietly carry stories of faith, family, and hope into everyday life.